Before consoles, before arcades, before Mario and Sonic, there were no games in your living room, no tournaments, no online battles, but somewhere in the blinking lights of massive computers and the minds of curious scientists, something extraordinary was brewing, a tiny spark that would grow into an entire industry. This is the story of how video games were born, from radar labs and university experiments, to the first game that made the world stop and play, Pong. As Nolan Bushnell, the future founder of Atari, once said, "Video games are the toys of the 21st century, but every toy starts with an idea." Today, we trace that idea back to where it all began. The story of video games begins not in arcades, not in living rooms, but in military labs. During the Cold War, engineers and scientists were developing radar and computing technology, machines that could track objects, calculate trajectories, and process signals faster than the human eye could follow. These computers were not designed for fun. They were weapons of innovation, built to keep nations ahead in a tense world. When the Cold War ended, much of this advanced technology found its way into universities and research labs. Brilliant, curious minds, once working for the military, now had the freedom to experiment not with defense, but with play. In 1958, physicists William Higginbotham created what might be the first interactive electronic game, Tennis for Two, using an oscilloscope, a device originally designed for radar signals. He let players control paddles and hit a dot back and forth across the screen. Imagine that, a glowing dot bouncing across the screen, captivating the attention of everyone who played. Tennis for Two was played on an analog computer, no microchips, no pixels, just brilliant engineering. And while it never became a commercial hit, it inspired generations of scientists to explore the playful potential of technology. During the 1960s, more experiments emerged. At MIT, students developed Space War, a game allowing two players to battle in space on the university's deck PDP-1 computer. Entire evenings were spent on these primitive machines, testing limits, creating strategies, and discovering something fundamental. Interacting with machines could be fun. Space War was so influential that early arcade engineers carried it around on floppy disk, sharing the game with other universities and labs, effectively becoming the first viral video game. Some of these early programmers would sneak their games onto mainframe computers after hours, in defiance of university rules, just to see if anyone would notice. It was rebellious, experimental, and laid the foundation for the gaming culture we know today. And it was in this fertile ground of curiosity and experimentation that the seeds were planted for the first commercially successful video game, Pong, soon to enter the public eye and ignite a revolution in entertainment. Enter Nolan Bushnell, a visionary with a love for technology and a passion for fun. Inspired by early experiments like Tennis for Two and Space War, Bushnell saw a chance to turn interactive entertainment into a business. In 1972, Bushnell and his partner Ted Dabney founded Atari. Their first breakthrough, Pong, a simple arcade table tennis game. Players could control paddles and bounce a square across the screen. It was simple, addictive, and revolutionary. Pong was inspired by table tennis, and the ball on screen was just a single white square, yet that simplicity was enough to spark a worldwide craze. Arcades were flooded with players, coins poured into machines, and video games became more than experiments, they became entertainment. Atari's success with Pong wasn't just about the game. It demonstrated the power of interactive media, showing that people were willing to spend money for the thrill of playing a game. With the Atari 2600, released in 1977, video games finally moved into living rooms, making gaming a household phenomenon. The Atari 2600 originally had a joystick that cost only a few dollars to manufacture, yet it became one of the most iconic pieces of gaming hardware in history. Some of those original joysticks are now considered collector's items, selling for thousands of dollars. Bushnell once said, "It's fun to be the king of a small country." For a time, Atari was that country dominating the market, shaping culture, and creating a generation of gamers. Arcade culture wasn't just about playing games. In the 1970s, arcades became social hubs where teenagers and young adults would gather, compete, and share tips. You could say that the first esports began here, long before online tournaments existed. But even the mightiest can stumble. Mismanagement, market crashes, and fierce competition eventually led Atari to bankruptcy in the mid-1980s. Once the symbol of innovation and fun, the company became a cautionary tale. in technology and entertainment. Even pioneers can fall. Yet, Atari's legacy endures. Pong inspired decades of games, consoles, and gaming culture. Without it, the world tomorrow, Sonic, esports, and online gaming might have looked very different. As Bushnell put it, video games are about having fun. That's all. They don't have to be serious to be important. From military labs to university experiments, to the first arcade craze in home consoles, this was the birth of video gaming, a story of curiosity, innovation, and, most importantly, fun.